Jai Hind children, hope you all are doing fine at home. We had already covered almost 3/4 of the chapter, we have covered it, and in the previous modules and in the class we have talked about the water situation in Chennai. We have also talked about the water as a part of the fundamental right to life. We have discussed about public facilities, then what is the role of the government, and we have also discussed about the water supply to Chennai. Is it available to all? And we understood that the burden of shortfalls, it fell on the poor people who could not afford to buy or spend money on water. So the next topic today is, this we have already discussed, that water supply in Chennai is marked by shortage and the burden falls on the poor in search of alternatives. This scenario of shortage and acute crisis during the summer month is common in most cities of India. Shortage of municipal water is often taken as a sign of failure of the government, and water supply is the responsibility of the government, and there are very few instances of private water supply, and water pollution also is a major problem. So the next topic is in search of alternatives. So the situation in Chennai, we know that it is not unique, and a similar scenario of shortage and water crisis, it happens in almost many parts of India, and the shortage in municipal water is increasingly being filled by the expansion of the private companies who sell water for their profit. And so let us consider the facts, like acute water shortage in summer. Shortage of water is taken as a part of a failure as respect to the government. There are many examples where private companies, they provide facilities of water, but still they always work for their own benefit. Then the government supplies water in all parts of the world, but there are some areas in the world it does not reach, and places where water supply was handed over to the private companies, they showed a steep rise in the price, which was so that made many people who were not able to afford it. Within India, there are cases of success in the government department, though there are few in number and limited to certain areas of their work. For example, cities like Mumbai have raised their water charges to reach the expenses of water supply. Hyderabad shows increased coverage and improved performance in revenue collection. Then Department of Chennai has taken initiative like rainwater harvesting to increase the level of the groundwater, and they have also taken the permission to supply the water tankers at fixed rate. So these are the basic problems. Health problems are like communicable diseases, nutrition, and sanitation, medical, and then population. These are the challenges of transportation, like the nation has many cars, but it just covers 1% of the entire population, and 10% of the Indian households, they own a motorcycle. And in India, the public transport still remains the primary mode of transport for people, and Indian Railways, as we all know, is the largest and the fourth most heavily utilized system in the world. Then sanitation, if we talk, India occurs a loss of more than 60,000 lives because of these inadequate sanitation facilities, and 70% of the Indian population, they reside in the rural areas, and 60% of these rural households, they defecate in the open. Children of below the age of 5, they die because of diarrhea and other water related diseases. Then because of these things happening, where people do not have toilets in their home, women and the girls, they are exposed to assault, risk of assault, contamination by the human excrement. It puts a risk both for the people who use the toilet and others who do not use. So rural India being the main producers of food, about almost 10,000 tons of excrement heads to the markets every day, and it spoils the fruits and the vegetables. And India's first nationwide program for rural sanitation, the Central Rural Sanitation Program, was launched in 1986. The basic objective of this program was to improve the quality of life of the rural people, and to improve or to provide privacy, and especially it was a matter of dignity for the women. The program was reconstructed again in April 1999, which focuses on demand driven approach in a phased manner with a view to cover the wider range of rural population by the end of the 9th 5-year plan. Department of Water Supply and Sanitation is responsible for the sanitation in the rural areas. Then we will talk about electricity. It hampers the students who study while giving exams, also in normal studies also. It decreases the production in the mills and factories where it runs on electricity. Commodities which are kept in preservation, like in refrigerators or cold storage, they get spoiled because of this load shedding or less electricity coming to the areas. Farmers fail to water their fields on in time, and then shops, hospitals, which all run on electricity, life comes to a standstill. You can see it clearly in the picture. Then migration, rural urban migration refers to the movement of the people from the rural areas to the urban areas for life, better life and work. So you can see the consequences. The positive would be the migrant workers bring some money to the rural areas. Some migrant workers, they find a job and find better conditions for themselves and their families. These are the positive aspects. Negative, the migrant worker is separated from his family and they lose that emotional effect. Children of these migrant workers, they are brought by one single parent because they cannot bring all the people, everybody to the towns and stay together. Children must help to cultivate the land, and therefore they do not get proper education because they have to help their mother or somebody in the family wherever they are staying. Older children, they leave their home in search of a better life, and thus it is a breaking up from their family. Small shops in the rural areas, they close down because of fewer people who buy their products. So the negative aspects are more. So the conclusion is public facilities are related to basic needs of the Indian Constitution, like right to water, health, education, and the major role of the government is to ensure adequate facilities. It should be provided to everyone for better standard of living, and the success of any government depends on all these things. So this is the last module. We'll be discussing about this in the live class. Till then, Jai Hind.